I'm Brent.
And I'm Tayler.
It's pretty cool. I hurt myself though, but it's pretty cool.
Welcome to our journal-worthy journey.
First, let's talk about how we met. We met back in 2012 through my roommate at the time. They happened to be on the same kickball team. After a few years of dating, Brent gave me the biggest surprise during a guided snowmobile tour in Colorado.
I was hoping that you would want to marry me.
Yes. A couple of years after that, we got married in a castle north of Dallas, surrounded by friends and family.
It is my pleasure to now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride.
Okay, how did we go then from getting married to traveling the country in a fifth wheel? Well, there's a bit of a story behind all that. And it really starts with us when we were dating, enjoying going out and seeing a bit of the country, just doing that. We'd taken a number of long road trips. We'd been to Colorado, 14 hours. We'd been to Florida, 14 hours. Like, it seems like that was kind of a not that unrealistic thing for us to maybe make a few trips of that length every year.
And in one day.
Yeah.
Not separated drives.
One day.
Years.
Yeah, so taking that into perspective, you can basically see where it's like, yeah, we might want to be doing road trips rather than, just trying to plan vacations and stuff. And with me working remote, we have a real opportunity with that. And we decided to take advantage of it and figured we'd get by with my income and Tayler kind of helping plan things and do all that sort of stuff. We could probably do more. Maybe Tayler could work other jobs or something. Who knows? In the early phases of this, it was just kind of like, whatever. We'll figure something out. But let's start looking at that and what can we do to take advantage of it? Because I could work from hotels. I could work from Airbnbs. We could travel to different places for a week or two at a time. We could downsize from the house that we were living in, because I'd had a house for, at that point, 6 years or so. And now we're, married in it, living in this house together, but it was kind of a big house for just the two of us. And downsizing would mean less maintenance, maybe go to a condo or something, do that as a home base. Doesn't need much maintenance, don't have to worry about a yard, don't have to worry about a lot of things, roofs and other stuff. It's more or less like an apartment that you own, so that's great. And then you could hit the road in an SUV a few times a month or so, a couple of weeks here and there, come back for a couple of weeks. But then you have to decide what you're picking and what you're bringing. And then you need hotels near the places you want to go. And they need to be hotels you want to do. And hotels you can afford. And you don't know what you're getting until you get there. You have different beds and quality of things and food options. And
you're living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, and you're living out of a suitcase, which is like a really big important part of that. And all these sort of notions of what that would be like, we're playing out in our heads as we're kind of comparing it to what we've done. And like, we enjoy hotels. We enjoy going to places and seeing new things and the convenience of a hotel and all that. But we enjoy that here and there when we're doing vacationing. And this, what we're talking about here, don't forget about that work part, is not vacationing. So none of this of what we're doing is the same thing as going on vacation, because I have to work. We have to play around that. We have to make decisions on what we're doing and where we're at and when we can move and so forth based on that. So that's where the whole thing of looking at alternative options really came into play. And we looked at Class A's. We looked at RVs, right? And that's what you normally think of, or a lot of people, I certainly was one of them, who would think of, you say RV, you're thinking the motorhome, the big Class A. And those are expensive. I'm looking into them, not that many layouts. And as far as roof height goes, for me, I'm in most of those, I'm like right at the roof is the highest I ever get. So
not very comfortable.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it would be the most comfortable thing for like full-time living for us. But there's trailers. Okay. You look at a lot of the regular travel trailers that you see and you go like, man, would I want to drive pulling that boat that I used to have all over the country? Because we had a boat as well, and so I've pulled a trailer. I know what that's like. And it can be a lot of cocoon, bucking around and pulling on you, and you just, you're feeling that thing and swaying in the back of things. I mean, I didn't have that much sway with the boat. It wasn't that giant of a boat, but still, looking into it, you certainly read about all that kind of stuff. But you also read about fifth wheels and how much better they are to drive. And you get a lot more options, and you certainly get more headroom in the lower areas with these drop frames. In particular, you get a lot of storage and headroom and so forth. So if we can find the right layout, maybe that's the thing that would work for us. So we continued looking, kept digging in, looking at YouTube videos and different websites across the internet until we could find out what we thought would really work for us. And what really helped narrow that down was also going to RV shows.
Oh, yes.
Dallas, luckily we were living in the Dallas area, so Dallas has a couple of big RV shows every year. We went down to our first one and said, okay, yeah, we can definitely make this work. We were able to actually get in a bunch of different options and see different things from different manufacturers. It's not like going to a dealership where they tend to sell we sell Grand Designs but not Montanas, or different one, we sell Keystones and not Grand Design. So
selective.
Getting to go to the RV show where you see just so much variety was a really nice way to do it. And from there, it really kind of was coming down to Grand Design in Montana. But we at least knew that we kind of had a plan, and we could probably make it work from that.
Now, once we had that plan, the next thing that we had to do was actually sell the house. That is, a big thing to do. We decided the best time to sell would probably be during the summer, since a lot of families would like to move to areas prior to their kids starting school that next August. So we put our house on the market at the beginning of July, and unfortunately, it didn't really sell very quickly. It did take until the middle of October for us actually to sell the house, but that did give us a lot of time to actually get rid of all the other things that we needed to get rid of during that time in order for us to go travel. We had to get rid of the boat, as he had said we owned. We had to get rid of the motorcycle that we had, the arcade machine that was in the house, as well as closer to when we actually closed on the house, getting rid of all of our belongings. We only kept a few things in storage. Things that we didn't keep in storage, we ended up just donating or selling.
Once we were under contract, we had a lot of packing up to do. It was crazy to see just how much we had accumulated over the years in a 4-bedroom house. After a couple busy weeks involving a lot of boxes, bubble wrap, and decision making on what to sell or keep in storage, we were almost to the finish line.
It's just all the odds and ends. Pretty much everything's ready to go. You ready to be done with this place? Well, end of an era here at the old house. 8 years, pretty much a quarter of my life. Close to it anyways, right?
After months of preparation and work, we finally had that day come. Time to sign the paperwork and say goodbye to the house. This meant we were technically homeless, but fortunately we have parents that would take us in until we got this journey on the road. And the next step to getting that journey on the road was going to be finding a new truck. My old truck wasn't going to be able to get us across the country. We definitely needed a new truck that would be comfortable for us on long distance drives, pulling a big load, and just being the one vehicle that both of us would share full time. That pretty much had narrowed us down to wanting an F-350 with a lot of options. We already knew that much by the time we'd gone to closing, although we hadn't been able to find one that was a good enough deal to make us jump on it before we had all the money in the bank. And now with that money in the bank, I continued my search whenever I had free time. Tayler had gone out of town on a bachelorette, and that weekend I also found a truck that I wanted. I drove out to Fort Worth to go take a look at it, test drove it. It was amazing. Had all the features we wanted. I felt like we could make a reasonable deal. I talked to the dealership on the numbers a little bit and gave Tayler a call saying, hey, I think that I'm gonna buy a truck.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. She didn't know I was even at the dealership at this time. So with her approval saying that if you think you found a good deal and that this is gonna be the truck for us, then go ahead and do it. So I went back in and did the deal. Bought my old truck. It's great having it for the last 13 years or so, but time for the journey to almost begin with our new vehicle. And now with the vehicle to actually pull the rig, we were going to actually need that rig.
Now, over the course of that year, we've done a lot of research in terms of what we liked with trailers, and pretty much narrowed it down to just a few models that we were interested in. Called a few dealerships that were local to us. They were giving us deals, but we just had that feeling that we could do better, that the deals that they were offering us, we could do better. So we expanded the search around the country, and I called and spoke with a dealership in Indiana one Friday afternoon. They had a few of the models that we were looking at, and the guy was really nice. Basically said, if y'all come out and look at them, we can set all the units up next to each other, so that way you can compare between the three, and at that point, make your decision. So spoke with him a little bit more, started asking questions, and asked about pricing. And when I asked him about pricing, he surprised me, because he pretty much blew all the local competitors way out of the water with the prices that they were offering us, and they were just way too good to refuse. So I quickly told Brent, we hopped in the car that Friday afternoon, so that way we could make it to Indiana the next day before they closed for the rest of the weekend. Now, once we got there, we got to walk through all the units, we got to make our comparisons, and then we made our decision. We finally had a new home. Yay!
They needed a few days to prep our rig before we could take it, so we took the opportunity and drove into Amish country to explore. Then finally that Monday came and we were able to pick up our new home.
This is our first time moving the trailer.
Easy peasy.
Once we picked up the RV, we went around the corner to Elkhart Campground for a few days so we could get adjusted to our new home. With the parks in the north closing early for the winter, we only stayed here a few days before we were off to Texas. We decided we would split our long 17-hour drive over 3 days, staying overnight in Kentucky and Arkansas. This way we could enjoy the pretty fall drive and not feel rushed to get back, especially with us being new to pulling the fifth wheel. Once we arrived back in Texas, we set up camp in Farmersville at Lakeland RV Ranch. This RV park, located off a quiet country road, would become our new home until we started our travels west. While the sites were a little too close together, it overall was still a nice park that truly had that ranch feel, especially every morning when the nearby roosters sang their unwanted 5 a.m. wake-up calls, letting us know the sun was rising. Besides roosters, they also had fenced-off land where horses could run, and a pond with a stage they used for events held on the property. We decided to stay here through the winter, allowing us to enjoy the holidays with our families while preparing for the big adventure. It also gave us the opportunity to travel to Spain to watch my little sister play volleyball overseas.
We're going to Spain. Bye.
What an amazing trip. This was our first time getting to see her play in another country, and it was well worth the wait. Not only did we get to see her play twice, but we also got to explore some pretty incredible places in Barcelona, Granada, and Madrid. Once we got back from Spain, we had so much left to do prior to leaving, and we needed to get it all done ahead of the nasty spring weather that Texas brings. With living in a new mobile home, we preferred to avoid the constant threat of bad thunderstorms with hail and tornadoes that come through the area, and go ahead and get to a nicer, dry climate. With our stay in the Dallas area coming to a close, we started to pack up our belongings and say goodbye to friends and family. It was time to head west.
All right, so we are pulling out of the RV park right now. Bye-bye, Lakeland.
Been fun, but let the adventure begin. Here we go.
Here we go. Next stop, Abilene.
For real now.
Bye, Dallas.
See you in a little while.
We were having good luck with our first drive day, but that started to run out when we came upon a big accident with a major backup on the highway. We thought we could just skip around it by taking the access road, but little did we know that once we got off the highway, we wouldn't be able to get back on again. So it was time to take some back roads until we were clear of the wreck. This led us to our first concern, a 14-foot bridge. Lucky for us, we are 13'6", so it really wasn't a problem. Rather, just a little too close for comfort.
Hey, we didn't hit.
Oh my gosh.
The rest of the drive was smooth, and not long after, we made it to our new home for the week. It was an easy park to get to right off the highway, and checking in was no issue at all. After a quick check-in, we made our way to our new campsite and went through our setup routine.
Hey.
Why Abilene? Well, if you remember earlier in the video, I made a mention of my roommate, the one that introduced us. She actually was going to be getting married the next weekend in San Antonio. So Abilene was a short drive from Dallas, but it also allowed us to get a little bit of the ways west, and still was a short distance for us to go to San Antonio to see the wedding as well. It also allowed us to break up our drive, which we would be making to New Mexico the next week. Rather than having one really long drive, it allowed us to break it up into a couple shorter ones, which, being new to driving an RV, is kind of helpful. We were really looking forward to going to the wedding. Unfortunately, when I left Dallas, I had a little bit of a cold.
Yeah, and this was also the same time that COVID started to really impact things and everything started shutting down for COVID. There was a Walmart that was across the highway from where we were at, and going over there for shopping, looking for food, the shelves were looking pretty empty. The toilet paper section, I think everybody probably remembers that, not to be found. Luckily for us, people hadn't yet discovered that there is RV toilet paper in an RV section, different part of the store. So we were able to stock up on that. But that, that was most of it for what was like non-perishable items on the shelves. It was pretty bare. And so things were getting pretty interesting pretty fast. And that's not all. There's more.
A tornado warning right now is in effect until 8:15. Once again, this storm is moving
Cool.
northeast
So
at
we are
45
like right
miles an hour.
here,
A severe
and they were just
thunderstorm
showing
came
like
northeast.
tornado
The tornado was
warnings,
first located over
like all right
Potosi,
here.
but now is between, say, probably
And we're like
Hewlett
right
and Clyde. And if you are in that area, take cover immediately. Go to an interior room of
Maybe
your
right
home, your safe
here.
zone,
So
and cover your
we're
head.
just behind
Stay
it.
there till this dangerous.
No worries at all, right?
It's a little too close for comfort.
Week 1, no problem.
Yay, week 1.
Hey, look at the beautiful sky out there. What's to worry about?
Well, that was only the first wave of bad thunderstorms to come through the area that day. It definitely got worse from there. Come 1 a.m., we found ourselves woken up by a tornado app alert on our phones and decided it would be best to head to the park's clubhouse to bunker down on solid ground. Surrounded by other strangers, we waited while the storm passed, all within the midst of a pandemic. The tornado barely missed the park, coming within just a couple miles of us. It mostly tossed around some cars and did some damage to buildings at a jail. Luckily, nobody was hurt.
We were really looking forward to our travels. After living in a cramped park for the last several months, it was nice to be in a bigger, better place with more space and grass, Everything seemed to be going great with that, but other things were getting even worse.
So here's the state of the COVID situation. My wife has been sick with a cold for the last probably close to 2 weeks, but certainly at least a week. Took her to the emergency room the other night because didn't really have a choice. We're on the road and it's the middle of the night, everything's closed, she can't sleep. She's suffering miserably. Hasn't seen anybody yet, doesn't have anything for it. So take her here. I have a policy. I can go back with her, but due to the COVID-19 stuff, we get screened. I get a badge. I get a little red dot because she's answered some of the questions. Okay, that was 2 nights ago. Tonight it's 2 a.m. and she's been coughing so much she's torn a muscle or strained a muscle or something. She can't hardly breathe. All right, so as a result of that, we're back, and now I don't even get to go back there with her. So, I guess I'm just sitting here in the truck until I hear something. This sucks. This really sucks.
Yeah, so I'm here by myself now. So Tayler had a bit of a pinched nerve and needed to be seen by a specialist. And the only way that was going to happen was really back in the Dallas area. And since we're only 4 hours west, we loaded up and met her parents a couple hours west of the Dallas area. So that way I only had to drive a couple hours to go drop her off and then turn around and drive back rather than, so 4 hour round trip instead of 8. So it was nice of them to do that. So she's staying with them. She's staying with her parents now back there in the Dallas area. And then I'm out here by myself. Week 2's been a lot less eventful. I made a trip to the grocery store. I've got provisions to be able to last weeks, months, I don't know, quite a long time. I don't need a lot. So we've got that, and then Taylor's with her parents. So now it's just me going alone. Week 3 will be Albuquerque, and I guess me being by myself for probably the entire week. Maybe week 4 Taylor can join me again. But I'm gonna get to Albuquerque. I'll get set up. I don't need to go to the grocery store. I'll just hang around the trailer, maybe go on a hike, or if I get a chance, take the bike out and explore the area when I can on the weekends or during the week. Other than that, we'll be there for like 3 weeks, and then we're gonna move on. So our plans are still to keep going west. Hopefully things start opening up again. Hopefully we don't get too sick. Hopefully we don't catch the sickness at all, but as long as we don't get too sick, things will be okay. And we'll just keep going west, and then by summer, hopefully things are under control and, at least parks are open. We'll see. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We were supposed to be in Roswell this week. But the Roswell campground, they called us and said, no, don't come. They said, we're a private campground, but we've decided to close. So other than the full-timers that were still there, that's it. So they said, don't come. Extended another week here in Abilene. Otherwise, we'd be in Roswell this week. And this weekend, we were supposed to be going down and enjoying Carlsbad Caverns. And that doesn't get to happen now. So some other time, it's just the tough breaks.
you.